What if your marketing could take half the time and bring in more clients? I know it sounds backwards, but right now, most studio owners are doing way too much marketing, posting constantly, trying every trend, burning themselves out, and still not seeing consistent leads. In today's episode, I want to show you the truth about sustainable marketing. It's not about doing more. It's actually about what I would call doing the minimum effective dose, the smallest amount of very focused effort that actually moves the needle in your studio. So, if you've ever thought to yourself, there must be an easier way to get clients, you're absolutely right. And I'm going to break it down for you today. Well, hi there, I'm Seran Glanfield. I'm a business and marketing strategist just for boutique fitness studio owners like you. If you're ready to be inspired and make a bigger impact, you're in the right place. All you need are a few key strategies, the right mindset, and some support along the way. Join me as I share the real-life insights that will help you grow a sustainable and profitable studio. This is the Pilates Business Podcast. Well, hey friends, and welcome back to the Pilates Business Podcast. This is the show where we talk about the business side of studio ownership in a way that feels doable, strategic, and yes, even fun and enjoyable. If you're new here, I'm Seran. I'm a business coach for boutique fitness studio owners and the creator of Thrive. It's my coaching program that helps you to build a profitable, sustainable studio without being in constant overwhelm. And today's topic is something that I wish every studio owner could hear. Because let's be honest, marketing is probably one of the first places that you feel a bit of burnout. If you're teaching many hours, like many of you are, if you're answering emails between classes, trying to keep your team happy, handling all the admin, the operations, you're a business owner. But then on top of all of that, you're also expected to be a content creator, a strategist, a copywriter, videographer, and social media manager. It's a lot. And the reality is that oftentimes all of that type of marketing that you might be doing or try to be doing isn't even the marketing that actually works. And I see it often with studio owners where they're jumping from platform to platform or they're running random promotions just to get people in the door. And the truth is that more marketing does not equal better marketing. Better marketing equals better marketing. And that's exactly what the concept of a minimum effective dose helps you. It's a way of thinking about marketing that perhaps removes some of the chaos and the overwhelm, the heavy, should I do this, should I try that energy, and instead helps you to really focus on the smallest and essential actions that actually generate leads. Because the goal here isn't just to get more done and add more to your checklist, your to-do list. The goal is to get the right things done. So let's talk first about the real reason why marketing feels exhausting. Now, most studio owners approach marketing a little bit like a marathon that they didn't train for, right? You're running at full speed, maybe on fumes, and somehow perhaps still feeling a little bit behind. You might be doing a lot, but perhaps not in a way that creates the kind of momentum that you are looking for. And that leads to often inconsistent levels of new clients, right? Inconsistent clients coming in, people coming in the door inconsistently. So 1 month you've got 15, 20 new clients, and another month you have 3, right? And then you might also see an inconsistency in your revenue. But most of all, what I see when I see this cycle amongst studio owners is that they have a whole lot of resentment towards marketing. You start thinking, I'm not good at this. This is not my thing. How do I have time for this? This is not working. It will never work. Marketing is a fad. And none of that is true, actually, because marketing isn't exhausting because it's hard. Marketing that way is exhausting because you're trying to do everything instead of the few specific things that actually move the needle. And once we start to see that shift, the whole game changes. So let's talk a little bit more about this minimum effective dose of marketing and what it really means. Now, the problem really begins in the beginning with not really knowing what works. So you default to just doing more, right? More platforms, more posts, more emails, more promotions. And what we know is that the more you add to your plate, the more it divides your energy. And when you are scattered and when you are being pulled in as many different directions that you are being pulled in, you cannot, no one can produce good, strong results. But what that does is actually keeps you on the hamster wheel. So poor results keeps you wanting to try harder because you really want this to work. And that leads to more feelings of being scattered, more feelings of perhaps pushing more, overworked, overwhelmed, chaos. And then eventually you find yourself continuing on that sort of hamster wheel of being unsure if anything you're doing is even working. And I think what I love about this concept of having sort of this minimum effective dose of marketing is that it just flips the script on all of that. And it says, okay, what is the smallest amount of effort that produces the biggest and most reliable results? And I think that those two things are both are important, right? The biggest results, the biggest impact, but also the most reliable results, because we want marketing efforts that are consistent. We need consistent inflow of clients. So what is the smallest amount of effort that produces the biggest, most reliable results? So think about it like having that double espresso, right? Instead of having that watered down drip coffee, right? No one wants the drip coffee that's watered down and cold, right? We want that double espresso to wake us up and get us going. And I think the same thing happens with marketing. So a few bold strategic actions will always, always outperform the random 100 actions. And so the magic is not in just doing more. The magic actually is in doing what moves your business forward. And then, and this is often the hardest part, you guys, letting everything else go. So that often is the most challenging thing actually is when I observe amongst my studio owners, we talk about this idea and we look at the strategy and the campaigns and the goals, letting go of this, oh, I should be doing that, or my competition is doing that, or my friend started doing that. And letting go of this idea that we should be trying everything all at once is actually quite hard. And it takes a little bit of discipline, setting those boundaries. So I'm also going to open a bit of a loop here because there are also 3 categories of marketing actions that I think always have to qualify as part of this minimum effective dose. And I'm going to come back to those in just a moment. But first of all, I do want to talk about one of the things that I think that we tend to focus on really heavily, and that is content. A lot of folks struggle with content. They say to me, what is it that I should be saying in those emails? What is it that I should be saying on my website? And oftentimes, it's not about the content, and it's absolutely not about the quantity of content, especially in the world that we're in today, you guys. There's so much quantity out there right now. The issue is often more an issue of lack of clarity. Clarity about who you're speaking to, clarity about your message, but also clarity about what it is that your marketing is supposed to be doing. So instead of showing up in a really powerful and impactful way, you show up in a reactive way, perhaps verging on desperation. Without that clarity, everything feels harder, it often takes longer, and it feels heavier, right? You procrastinate, you second guess, you tweak endlessly, you go back and change things, and it keeps you stuck, right? But when you are so clear about what you want to say and who you want to say it to, your marketing gets lighter, it gets faster, and you get more confidence. And over again, when my studio owners who come into Thrive and we work through the marketing intensive component that exists within Thrive, I take you through the exercises of putting together and crafting so clear messaging that truly articulates the value of what you do. And the process of doing that, and it's not a long process, but it's a deep process. And what that does is not only does that give you tremendous amount of clarity about who you work with, how you want to work with them, but it often also reignites that spark inside of the studio owner and gets them really excited and energized about their business and what's possible and how they can stand out in what we know is today being this incredibly saturated and competitive market. And so when you get that clarity, it takes away the effort, right? Your shoulders drop. You start to breathe a little bit deeper. You have that smile on your face. And I see this happen. I see this sort of transformation happen in front of me when we meet every single week on our calls. I see the change. It's very visible. So the whole point of the minimum effective dose is getting the right message in front of the right people. Because we know, it makes so much sense when I say it out loud, right? That will always be way more effective than a huge quantity of random content. And so that's why inside of Thrive, we'll have so much focus on starting with clarity around who you are before we even get to talking about the content. Because that clarity around your value proposition, your brand messaging is what makes every other part of your marketing easier. So earlier on, I did mention those 3 categories where the minimum effective dose of marketing really lives, okay? And this is, I think, where the real shifts happens. This is a little bit more tactical here. And these are the 3 pillars, I think, of the minimum effective marketing. What you have to have in place. You can't ignore these components of any marketing effort at all. And here, the small amount of very focused effort truly is what creates that massive payback, I should say, or payoff. And I'm not going to go into too deep into the how-tos because that's exactly what I take you through inside of Thrive, step by step by step. We do it together. But the high-level idea is that at the very top of the funnel, people need to know your studio exists. So visibility is non-negotiable. And that means people need to see you. They need to be aware that you exist. But it does not mean posting all day long. It means being strategically consistent, right? The right message in the right places, not everywhere all the time. The billboard over the highway might not be necessary, but getting in front of the right audience, an audience that is excited about what you do and would be interested, that's strategic. The second is nurture. I know from doing this for a long time, and what I'd love for you to know is that people don't convert because you harass them. People don't convert into your clients and don't become your clients because you're pushing them, because you're challenging them constantly, because you're manipulating them. People don't convert because you flood them with content. They convert because they build trust with you over time. They are inspired by you. They see you as an expert. They see you as credible. And that is all because you have nurtured that relationship, right? And it's a relationship you may not even realize that you have right now with a lot of people in your community. There are people out there in your community who know you exist, who have heard about you, who may have had even looked at the schedule or gone to your website or checked out you on social media. And they have a relationship with you of some sort. And so the question is, what is it that you're doing to deepen that relationship? How are you speaking to them? Okay. And how are you building that trust with them and showcasing that? So it's not about volume, it's about connection. And then the third component, and I think this is where many studio owners sort of allow a lot of leaks to happen, is in that conversion moment, right? And I think that a lot of folks but think that the conversion moment happens sort of in this sort of very intense sales conversation, right? And it does to some degree. There is an invitation that has to happen, but it has also happened very much in the systems that are behind the scenes, the systems that you've put in place to make sure that you have, along that entire customer journey, pulled people into your business, nurtured them effectively, and then implemented the incredible tactics and tools that you have at your fingertips to ensure that they are really ready to take that next step and convert into a member or a long-term client. And all of that means that when you are thinking about each of these categories, it's not about doing more and more and more. It's about doing the most impactful activities within those 3 categories, right? And when you simplify things in your business, things get a lot clearer. And what we already know is you make such better decisions when you come from a place of clarity. And so the minimum effective marketing system isn't about just adding more and more and making things more complex and more intricate. It's about doing the essentials and making sure they are working for you perfectly. And the amazing part of this is, the most beautiful part of all of this is that when these areas are set up well and you've got the minimum effective dose in place of your marketing, it gets a lift, it becomes more effortless, and then you can have some fun with it, right? Because you could add in some fun stuff that you've been thinking about doing for a while because you've got the fundamentals, you've got the foundations in place, you've got the systems in place that are going to happen regardless. So when you are thinking about your marketing, you want to make sure that you're looking at it from this very strategic perspective. And marketing doesn't burn you out because it's hard. It burns you out because you're doing so many things that aren't working, right? This is you may be feeling like, yes, that's kind of how I feel right now. And that's okay. It's totally fine to find yourself in this spot. Step one is awareness, right? Step two is thinking about, okay, what does this mean I need to do next? Right. And so when you shift your focus to that minimum effective dose, the smallest essential actions that deliver the real results, the things that you can do that have the most impact, a lot of things become more simple and also then easier. So you can be more consistent with your visibility activities. Your messaging becomes a lot clearer. And your leads will ultimately be more predictable in terms of the quantity, but also, and I think this is critical to emphasize, in terms of the quality of those leads as well. They're going to be clients who actually want to work with you. So you're not convincing anyone of anything, right? And when you're not convincing and pushing, your energy is always going to be more powerful and more positive, and you're going to feel better about everything in your business, right? And the best part of all of this is you finally start feeling like your business is running you. So if you want a little bit of help building your momentum, right, and building out that minimum effective marketing system inside of your studio, one that really creates like consistent lead flow without the burnout, then I would love to invite you to learn a bit more about Thrive, my business coaching program for boutique fitness studio owners. Inside, I help you to build those systems, the messaging, the plan, and the strategies that will help you to implement these types of systems to ensure you can work as much or as little as you need to, all while having a profitable, sustainable revenue stream in your business and actually make it enjoyable. So you can learn more about Thrive at spring3.com/Thrive, or send me a DM on Instagram at Seran_spring_3. I'm always happy to chat and share a little bit more about that then. So until next time, keep going, keep growing, and know that there is a ton of opportunity out there in the industry, and there's a ton of opportunity out there for you as well. Did you love this episode and want more? Head to spring3.com and check out my free resources that will help you run a profitable and fulfilling studio business. And before you go, one last reminder, there is no one way to do what you do, only your way. So whatever it is that you want to do, create, or offer, you've got this. Thanks again for joining me today, and have a wonderful rest of your day.